Well, we have Alaska, the land of the liberals, running in to help the Biden administration. Alaska plans to send National Guard members to Mexico border in support of the federal government. The deployment could take place as soon as later this year, according to the mobilization instructions from the US Army. The state of Alaska is planning to send members of its National Guard south to the Mexican border, responding to an order from the federal government for assistance securing the international boundary. According to the Alaska National Guard, 20 guardsmen and 2 helicopters could be deployed as soon as late September. Exact mobilization dates will be determined by the Secretary of Defense and Department of the Army. Now, this is a very interesting development as we have Greg Abbott, governor of Texas, down there saying your obligation, your duty. 14 governors gathered to support Texas' right to protect its borders. 13 Republican governors attended a Sunday media briefing in Eagle Pass, Texas, during which Governor Greg Abbott urged President Joe Biden to take action on the issue of illegal migrant entries along the southern U.S. border. Abbott intensified his clash with the Biden administration over runway immigration issues, demanding immediate action to stem the flow of illegal migrants across the southern border. Abbott's critique of Biden's handling of the border security was unreserved. He accused the administration of neglecting its duties, emphasizing the onus now falls squarely on the federal government to uphold the nation's laws. Joe Biden, it's your turn now. Your obligation, your duty to follow the laws Congress passed and secure the border, just as Texas has, Abbott stated. The confrontation has been brewing for some time, with Texas taking unilateral steps to curb illegal crossings. State authorities controversially restricted U.S. Border Patrol access to Shelby Park in Eagle Pass in January. Abbott also attributes significant drop in illegal entries to Texas' extensive deployment of razor wire barriers, asserting their effectiveness in securing the border area. Abbott didn't hesitate to invoke constitutional rights in defense of his actions while also accusing Biden of facilitating unauthorized entry into the country. My friends, this is heading into a serious unknown. Are there going to be clashes between state guards, national guards? Who knows? What is even the difference between the state guard and the national guard? Can someone below tell me in the comments? I understand Texas has a state guard, Florida has a state guard, that they're separate from the national guard, and that in some way, perhaps that could be invoked. I'm not sure. Let me know below. This is a very interesting development. We have states against states now, and it only seems to be getting worse.
Joe Biden has completely abdicated Joe Biden has completely abdicated and abandoned his responsibility to enforce the laws of the United States. I have used a clause in the Constitution that empowers states to defend themselves. It's Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3 of the United States Constitution, where a state can defend itself and its citizens to protect their safety from the imminent danger that we are facing and from an invasion of millions of people coming from across the globe into our country who are unaccounted for whatsoever.
And so, amid all of this, is a $118 billion agreement, which was released Sunday afternoon and negotiated for months, which would tighten the standard for migrants to receive asylum, automatically shut down the border to illegal crossings if migrant encounters hit certain daily benchmarks, and send billions of dollars to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, as well as the border. So, this is what it's all about, folks. It's all about sending money off to war to different countries. They don't want this border secured, guys. They don't care about you. They hate your country. They hate you.
The border bill, it's not really a border bill. They're calling it a border security bill, but it is a disaster. It's basically funding for Ukraine to the tune of $60 billion, funding for Israel, and $20 billion for amnesty, I guess. The bill basically just codifies exactly what it is the Biden administration is doing. It creates an easier path for asylum seekers, quote unquote, to be granted asylum and to be given work permits. This was the play. It was obvious. Joe Biden screws up the border and basically creates a mess. Then when Republicans start complaining, Joe Biden says, I need a bill. Then when they put together a bill giving Biden everything he wants and destroying the border, they call it a security bill. So when Republicans in the House, not the Senate, oppose it, The media will run rampant screaming the Republicans are against their own bill. That was the narrative, and that's exactly what's happening. So we'll talk about that. Plus, we got crazy news, depending on how you view it. The federal government has sent a memo calling on the Alaskan National Guard to deploy to the southern border, which would include Texas for support for aviation.
Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has vowed to hold a procedural vote to advance the package Wednesday, though it's unclear if the legislation has the necessary 60 votes to clear the chamber. About 20 to 25 Republican senators are ready to evaluate the specifics, and a similar number are leaning against the deal, according to the lead GOP Senator James Lankford. At least a handful of Democrats are also expected to vote against it. President Joe Biden has praised the agreement in a Sunday night statement that called on Congress to send it to his desk. If you believe, as I do, that we must secure the border now, doing nothing is not an option, Biden said. What a fucking joker. Honestly, this is contempt for the American people. Do you really believe that Biden wants to secure your border with $118 billion being shipped offshore? I think not.